to another episode of This Feels Holy. And today's episode, I have my favorite person in the world, obviously, my husband, Dylan Water. Don't know why I said it like that. I feel like when you say water, it sounds like it could be like a poor man's beg. Like, hello, Mrs. Water, can you please spare some tea and crumpets?
Is this how you're introing this podcast?
Yes. I'm going to do whatever I want to do on this podcast because it's This Feels Holy. And every moment, even in the micro moments, this feels holy. Okay, anyways, welcome back to This Feels Holy. I have my husband here. We're going to be talking about lust and desires and how to control it. Maybe not the how to, but we'll talk about
We're going to have a very honest conversation about it.
Yes. I feel like you're better at explaining how this conversation came about. Do you want to do that while I look at the outline?
Wow. She told me she was prepared for this.
I am prepared. Look at this outline.
Oh, wow.
Look at this entire intro. 2 to 4 minutes is how long we should spend. So I am prepared. Excuse me.
All right. Well, this is when we were living in Scottsdale, and I think we had watched a podcast or a sermon, and afterwards you just straight up asked me, like, do you struggle with lust? And I had a second of like, do I really want to be honest in this answer? And then immediately I'm like, yeah, of course I do. And that's the only way I can be. So she asked, she doesn't get the truth. And the answer is yes, of course. I think every man does. And that started a conversation that we were like stepping one at a time.
Yeah, I kind of got to tiptoe into it.
And the more that I saw her grounded and truly receiving it and seeking understanding truly from a place of wanting to know, not from a place of wanting to protect herself or anything of that nature.
Judgment or
yeah. That allowed me to be even more honest and for us to go deeper into the conversation and for it to go both ways. And yeah, there was parts of it that were uncomfortable, but it felt really powerful to feel safe having that conversation and not have it be used against you or turn into an argument or any of those things.
Like I wasn't using it as bait to try and capture you into something that I was going to hold against you later.
Yeah.
I genuinely, when the conversation came up, I genuinely just wanted to know so that I could understand and also better prepare myself and support you in these moments. Because we've had discussions before about, you know, the Instagram feed and how it feeds you basically soft corn. And I say corn, just, you know, you just never know.
Really just say
we
soft
could get
corn?
bleeped out. We don't want to be bleeped.
Okay.
So how it basically promotes that on your For You page, especially if you claim your gender as a male in it, it'll just know like, okay, let me feed them soft corn. And so I wanted to bring this topic to the surface because I don't believe that lust is only a male problem. I think females also struggle with it too, just on a different degree. But that the overall premise of this is learning how to self-control, how to control it spiritually. Because we as humans can to a degree control our natural inhibitions. But if it's not grounded in a spiritual backing, then it often falls apart. In my opinion, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've tried to control some things before, like impulses to smoke weed and stuff. And I could never quit based off of my own desires. But when I did it for God, that's when I was able to actually control it and say like, okay, I don't want to upset God because I have a healthy fear of the Lord.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to first address that lust truly is everywhere. You look on social media, it is a problem. It is part of our culture. It's engraved. We see it so much that we're very desensitized to it in general. Like you see something very sexual and you're just kind of like, you think that that's normal and natural. But when you start your process of sanctification, you start to look at these things and you're kind of like, your skin kind of crawls out of your body. You're like, this is not okay. Like, who hurt you?
Yeah, it's funny because we'll go to church and if anybody mentions anything about sex or
Yeah.
anything of that nature, we're all of a sudden we're uncomfortable. But then
Right.
that night we go watch Netflix and we watch it like it's nothing.
Yeah, that's so true. It's just like depending on the setting, all of a sudden you're more Christian by acting like you never look at this stuff, but then you go out into the world, it's like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So to ignore it is ignorant. And I do believe that by addressing it and having healthy conversations like this between especially your spouse is healthy. What is lust to you? Like, what does that feel like for a man?
Gosh, it's interesting because I feel like I don't struggle with it nearly as much as most men do anymore. I still do.
Yeah.
But it's like, as far as what the experience is it's a draw. Like, it's like when seeing a woman dressed a specific way, who has a specific figure, and or even something on a movie or whatever it is, where it's like I catch myself looking, being drawn, right? It's hard to look away.
Yeah.
And
it's almost like a subconscious.
I'm trying to look away, but at the same time, there's a feeling of joy almost.
Joy?
And, like,
or is it dopamine? You mean like a quick hit? It's like a subconscious, an unconscious.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
To look.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so there's this point of like, part of it is beauty, but there's a part of it that there's a line between beauty and where it becomes lust. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's, for me, there's like a point of like, I know I've looked too long, and that's where the battle starts.
Okay.
Yeah. And so even like this past weekend, I took you to get ice cream to celebrate the YouTube challenge.
Yeah.
And we went out into Coconut Grove, right? And there's beautiful women everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And so there were a few times where I found myself look for like a second or two longer than I felt like I should have. Mm-hmm. And then later on that night, we're watching Netflix, Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
And that girl's boobs were just like, our entire projector was filled up with this chick's boobs.
The main character. Yeah.
And
she does have a nice pair of boobs.
and I'm again, like, I'm like, well, this I can't necessarily, like, what do I do? Close my eyes? I'm like, even you, like, we're both looking.
Yeah.
But it just still, it had the same feeling to it. Mm-hmm. And then the next morning, I got in my Bible stack, the revelation I got was that the Holy Spirit needs a holy host. And essentially God was addressing even these small things within me, and essentially saying, like, where I'm calling you, you can't do this. Yeah. Because you're walking on the street right now and nobody really knows who you are. But where I'm calling you to, people are going to know who you are. And in that moment, somebody could be videoing you and you don't know. And for a split second, a video catches you looking at another woman while you're walking with your wife. Mm-hmm. And even in just for those 2-3 seconds, that can put you in a bad eye. Yeah. Right? And then your credibility, my ability to speak through you to somebody, it's going to be received less. So I need you to operate at an even higher level.
Okay. Well, let's not get too far into the how just yet, because I want to just get into the definition and what it feels like to lust. I wanted to talk a little bit about the differences in lust for men and women, because women lust after men too. I mean, we look at guys who with their shirts off, and they're always with their shirts off if they have a nice body. But the thing with women, I think the difference is the lust emotionally almost. Like, we look at a man who takes care of his body, and we kind of lust over the lifestyle that would be, you know, like, oh, he takes care of her, or like he like showers her with gifts and stuff. And that's like the kind of lust that I think women deal with. Instead of, yes, it's like the beauty as well, but I don't think we're so attached to that, but instead it's like the emotional lust, if that makes any sense, instead of just physically. Yeah. Ladies, I gotta admit, we have those books that we read about, and we're lusting over these fictional characters as well. That is also lust.
Yeah.
Like,
bless you. Bless you.
We gotta fight it. Okay. Fight my sneezes like I fight my lust. That's stupid. Anyways. Yeah, women do it very emotionally. And I think even if there wasn't an awareness around how women lust, I also get sucked into the trap because sometimes I'm watching other people's like wedding stories and I'm looking at the lust of like how she's being treated in with their marriage and stuff. And it's these surface level things that create that desire that goes beyond just like an appreciation.
But I also think with men, there's lust that is just of what they're physically looking at, and then there's this fantasizing about having sex with the
Sexually,
woman,
yeah.
which is where I think there's a big difference as far as to some extent for men and women. And
To some degree, I think some women also sexualize men as well.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that the majority of men, when they are experiencing lust, it is from a fantasizing place. And I think that when men think of women battling with lust, they see it as the same way, and then it triggers their own insecurities. And
Oh, yeah.
right? And,
Yeah.
and because they think it's the same thing. And that's where I think this conversation is important. It can be the same thing.
Yeah.
It often isn't.
Yeah. I think that's really important, is to kind of pick apart the things that are different in it so that I can have a better understanding of it for you and you can have a better understanding of it for me. Where did I want to take this? So it's really not just about the sexual of it. It's more about the hunger. I watched this video about this guy who was talking about attraction and that you only feel that attraction, but there's a difference between attraction and lust, when you feel like what you are getting is not enough, like you're desiring for something more. So can you talk a little bit about that? Do you feel like you struggle with lust because there's areas that we're not receiving? I know this feels like a trap. It's not a trap.
No. I mean, whatever. We would have this same conversation, honestly, even if we weren't from the podcast. So I'm okay with it. I think that I don't normally battle with that because our intimacy and our sex life has been amazing even before it shouldn't have been. Like, as in, right? Like before we were married?
Yeah, before Christ.
Yeah, our BC days, y'all.
BC days.
Our before Christ days.
We made it.
Well, yeah, once we were convicted, we did stop.
Yeah.
Until marriage, but it's been really good the majority of the time. I'd say 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And so in times where we have been really struggling and challenged and we're disconnected, that's when I have struggled with it. Right? That's when my mind has gone to it. And I think that's the case for most men. A lot of the men that I coach, I just had this conversation the other day. One of my guys is going through a lot in their relationship, and now he's back to watching porn. And he's back to lusting and having, these thoughts of other women. And if his relationship was in a place where he was being fulfilled in that, then he wouldn't be experiencing that.
Yeah. I think the same goes for women too. Like, again, we innocently, emotionally lust over things, or it seems innocent, but that happens when we feel emotionally disconnected from our partner. Or same thing, if we're not feeling romanticized enough or treated in a certain way, I think that's when I struggle with lust. And I'm like looking, at pictures and stuff. I'm like, this is not, I got to get this out of here. Like it's like junk food in my house, But I think that's where a switch happens in my mind. And thank God for the Bible and understanding covenant and marriage, because it's during these times where I know that I'm the most susceptible to lusting over things that are not in my household. And I almost take an extra care to make sure that I'm not looking at that stuff, especially during this time, because I'm weak.
That's it. And for me, we've had several conversations about this when it comes to my Explorer page. Right. Where when I first started the new Instagram, that's the only thing that was on there. And I had to literally search for other things and engage with other content in order to change it. And then once in a while, it seems to like reset. Right.
The enemy,
or
man.
they're trying to feed it to me again. And I have to, it's literally a battle because it draws you in. And so as soon as it comes up, it's like there could be 40 pictures there, but there could be only 3 that are of boobs and a big butt, and those are the ones that are like highlighted and literally try to draw me in.
Yeah, they're like
and
the bigger picture in your For You page.
Yeah, and I'm over here like double tapping on abs and guns and stuff about God trying to fight it, and just.
Did you know you can actually hit a not interested button? Like you can go into a video or whatever and click like hide this from my.
On what platform?
On Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, that's what.
Ooh, that might help.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean,
There
so
you
you
go,
can
y'all.
cater your algorithm if you want. It's not easy to do that. You have to be very intentional, and you have to have made that covenant commitment to your other person, which is huge, because if you're not grounded in that relationship, if you don't remember or recall all of the beauty of it, and you just start getting lost in all of the negative, it's so easy to just
It makes
give
you
up.
more hungry.
Yeah.
Right? That's where like a lot of men don't believe me when I say this, but I truly, since we have been serious, I haven't fantasized about. Let me say this again.
Fantasized.
Since we have been serious, I haven't fantasized about other women. And this is the first time in a relationship, and especially now that we're married, that I have experienced that. And I think that's why most men don't believe it, is because even a former version of me wouldn't have believed it. And the closest I have been to it is in our hardest times.
Yeah.
And that is when I'm most disconnected, but also where the enemy comes in and when in those weakest moments is trying to win you over.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've only watched porn maybe 5 times, maybe 5.
Yeah.
In the almost 4 years that we've been together.
Yeah.
Which I think most men do that in a week.
And so the whole phrase about lust it's just a man thing. Like that's my instinctual basic nature. You can't stop me from, experiencing this as a man because I'm a man and that's what I'm supposed to do. What do you have to say about that?
That is an excuse to not have self-control.
Amen. And also self-control is one of the fruits of the Spirit, just so you guys know.
Yes. And I think it's man's greatest feat, like his biggest achievement is to control himself in the physical, sexual, lustful part of him. This is why, and this is, I think, where this whole entire conversation for us started to originate was when I was starting to study King Solomon.
Yeah. You're like, how did he have so many wives?
Yeah, I'm like, this dude had 700 wives and 300 concubines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, obviously God does not approve of that anymore. But
he never did.
Well, yes, yeah, correct.
That was
he still blessed Solomon.
A perversion of, yes, he still blessed him in spite of that.
Yes,
though.
But to see King Solomon have 700 wives and 300 concubines, and then to learn that our pastor once cheated on his wife, and then this pastor, like every pastor I talked to or learned about or consumed content from, and then all these other men that I respect that are men of God, for them to have cheated on their wives. I'm like, how then my dad and your dad cheating on my mom and your mom, like, how did these men get to that point? I want to understand this to better prepare myself to fight it.
Yeah.
But at first, like when
I remember when you told me about that, I'm like, are you researching this because this is what you're struggling with right now?
Is this what you want?
Yeah. Like, are you wanting to check out other women? Like, I hope we're not trying to go into polygamy here, because we're not.
Yeah. But I think that all of these men, King Solomon to the pastors that we were going to church and hearing from, all of them at some point probably said they would never do that. I'm sure. And then they did. Yeah. And so that is why I'm like, okay, I'm studying this. I'm trying to understand it all. Like, how did these men get to that point? Yeah. And the reality is the answer to that is all the stuff that we have learned. It's just a matter of maintaining it through all the different seasons of life. Mm-hmm. All the things, everything that we've built between our communication, our connection, our honesty, all of it, all the things that I now facilitate for other men. Yeah. Right. But it's about the sustainability of it. And it's way harder. Like, it's going to be a whole different challenge for us to maintain the level of relationship we have and intimacy we have when we have children. Mm-hmm. Right. And so to hear one of my biggest mentors cheat on his wife while his wife is pregnant with their second child. I'm like, I got to wrap my head around how this man did this.
And that's the thing, like, our emotions are an indicator of what is right and wrong in this world. And so for people to say that, oh, you know, it's an evolved state if you can have a polygamous relationship, that's the perverse lie. That is a something that somebody has gathered a idea and perversed it, twisted it to match their lifestyle so that they don't have to change. But it's very clear that cheating and infidelity is wrong due to how much people it hurts. It hurts your children. It creates separation in the household. It creates separation in you and I, in the covenant that we've created. That's not what God designed marriage for. Same thing with God. We have a covenant with God. We've committed ourselves to one God. He does not want us to have multiple gods. He's a jealous God. And that's what the relationships need to be. They're covenant relationships.
Well, and this can lead to men building beliefs around their desires to be able to do what they want and for it to be convenient.
It's an excuse.
Aubrey Marcus is a great example of this.
Yeah, that was the first person
listening
in my
to
mind.
every other spirit but the Holy Spirit and calling it God.
Yeah.
And
he's saying a God, but that's lowercase g, not capital G.
Yeah. And it's convenient for him because now there's no self-control required in the belief system that he is designed for himself. And then he's brought in teachers that fit those beliefs instead of...
And he built this entire ecosystem based off of his selfish desires. But I also don't think he's doing it maliciously. I think he's trying to do it with good intent, but there's like it's almost like a filter, like a block.
Well, the enemy
like
is just using him, and he's convinced himself, and the enemy's convinced him that this is the way for him. Yeah. But it's every bit of it is self-serving. It's not serving God. There's no sacrifice.
Yeah.
And there's so much to say on that. I won't.
Well, I actually that's what I wanted to dive into next is the self-control aspect of it, and why do you feel like self-control is one of the main things that men, well, anybody really needs to master?
Well, because if not, then you eat whatever's in front of you and you drink whatever's in front of you and you break all your agreements, whatever you say you're going to do. And so then you can never be consistent to reach any goals. And then you wonder why you're depressed and can't, get to where you want to be. It's
a cycle of pleasing your flesh. Yeah. And in the Bible, he talks about how we don't just get fed off of food and water. We're spiritual beings. So there needs to be more than just continuously pleasing the flesh.
Yeah. And that's where I didn't even realize that the different ways that I was building self-control before God even called and I answered. And so fasting for me, I was doing intermittent fasting for a long time, starving my flesh and strengthening my spirit. But I was just... having conversations with the universe and source and everything but God at the time. Yeah. But that was helping build my discipline and my self-control to actually not I want to have carbs and I want to have all these things and eat ice cream and whatever.
Anything I'm eating.
Yeah. But do I want the outcome, right? Say of fitness more than I want this thing right now. And if the answer is yes, then I have to control myself. And so sure, I could be drawn physically, biologically to all these beautiful women, right? And I could want to serve my flesh and the sexual desires that might come up. But the outcome of that...
the consequence, the cost.
Versus the outcome I truly desire, which is just to feel fulfilled and have intimacy and connection, right? That just goes back to the hunger aspect of it's missing in your relationship if you're desiring it outside your relationship. And I think so many men have never experienced a relationship where they were truly fulfilled in it long-term, sustainably, where they could actually maintain the attraction and passion. And so they don't believe that it's even possible. And so then they excuse it because they haven't experienced it, because they've never also had the self-control that it requires to stay focused in this monogamous relationship, to continue to show up in a way that will keep the polarity and the chemistry alive. So that way, even years down the road, like we talk about this once in a while, it's like, how is our sex life getting better and better and better with where it started? Yeah. And that is because of our ability to have a relationship dynamic that sustains it.
Yeah. It's kind of like, remember when I used to tell you I don't like flowers?
Yeah.
I used to tell everybody that I didn't like flowers. I used to tell anybody that I would end up dating. I didn't like pink. I didn't like all these things because they were so outside of my scope of reality, because I didn't have a man who would get me flowers. I didn't have, like, I would see other girls get it and I'm like, well, I'm not getting it. So I just, instead of questioning why am I not receiving flowers, or like questioning the men I'm dating, instead I just adopted it upon myself just to protect myself that I didn't like flowers. So I created this reality of me not liking flowers. But the truth is, I was so hurt that I wasn't receiving them, and I needed some sort of justification as to why that was happening. And it made me feel better. But at the end of the day, it was a lie.
It's the same thing of people saying that they don't want to be rich, or they don't want to be wealthy. They don't care about money.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not the case. You just don't believe that you can have
And you
that much
haven't
money.
seen a healthy example of it. People think that we should automatically have this built-in system where we understand self-control, where we understand how to pursue God, how we understand how to love. Like, we think we know these things, but these are things that need to be taught and learned, and we have to see a healthy example of it before we can model it ourselves. And I feel like we kind of push it aside, or we don't take it as seriously because we think it's something that we naturally do when the circumstance happens. But it's always a pursuit, and it's always a self-control. So it's this ebb and flow of pursuing it and working on yourself and pursuing it, and etc. But
and that's where for man, I mean, me, every single day I have to exercise self-control when it comes to lust. Yeah. Every day when I open up that phone, I'm probably exercising it once per hour. Yeah. Self-control.
Good for you.
Where I literally, I absolutely want to tap and see more.
Yeah. I mean, I do too. That's like for me, and for some reason I like looking at the celebrity stories. Like, I want to know what's going on with Justin Bieber. Yeah. I'm like, but why do I care?
Yeah. But I know that if I do that once, then it's going to increase the probability that I'm going to do it the next time, and the next time, and the next time.
And you're aware enough to know that this is just your flesh screaming at you. Kind of like, and this is why I think it was so important that we did that 5-day fast, because when we did that, I actually could see how much control I had over my physical ailments. I thought that there was no way I could make a 5-day fast. I didn't even think I could make a 2-day, a 3-day. Like, my furthest one before that day was 24 hours. Yeah. And then we went straight to 5, and I was like, what the heck? But after realizing like how much control you can actually have over your physical desires, you realize like everything else is the same. You can apply that to your lust at looking at other people, like choosing not to put yourself in environments that stimulate more of that, right? Like not putting yourself out into a nightclub in the middle, like at 2 a.m. going into like a bar where there's a bunch of beautiful women. Like, obviously that's going to tempt your lust. Yep. So choosing your battles and choosing your environment.
Well, and I've made those mistakes in my last relationship.
Yeah.
The intimacy was destroyed. And so I found myself in a relationship for a good year where I didn't feel wanted. Yeah. And that not feeling wanted led to entertaining other women, giving me attention and making me feel wanted. Yeah. And this happens with women, but men don't talk about the fact that this happens with them just as much as it happens with women when their man is not present or pursuing them or making them feel wanted.
Well, that's like, same thing with women. Maybe we're not always the one pursuing a intimate moment with somebody outside, but if we're like lacking, it's almost like it's like a shift in energy that women carry when they're trying to draw in somebody.
100%.
And it's like unconscious behavior, but if things are not happy at home, like there's a an energy that's
Yep.
presented as a woman.
And men pick up on
And
it.
men,
and,
yes.
And they will approach
Yes.
and disregard the fact that you have a ring on you or
Absolutely.
anything.
They're like, oh, well,
Yep.
we can't be friends. I
Yep.
freaking, that's like the most annoying thing.
Yeah.
Is a man telling me, oh, so we can't be friends? No.
No,
That's literally what
negative.
I'm telling you.
Unless you want these hands or these hot rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
truly is.
Well, and the thing that I really want to drive home on this is that it is a very fast and dangerous spiral.
Yes.
Like for me,
It's quick.
it went from porn and to then entertaining other women, giving me attention, to then literally almost cheating on my fiance at the time with my confidential informant.
Ooh.
Where I was literally making
That's the tea.
I was making plans to go to a meet up at a hotel.
Wait, was your confidential informant like into drugs and like when it, like what you see in the movies?
No, she was a very, very attractive stripper that that
All right.
that shouldn't. She wasn't stripping at the time that she became my confidential informant, and when that was happening, but she was a very beautiful woman that lived in the hood and probably would have been a model if she could escape that environment.
You could have been a hero.
I could have been. If I actually went to that hotel.
Yeah,
that
I'm
day.
glad you didn't. I'm glad you didn't.
But the point of this is that it can spiral, and I grew up, or at least like in my early 20s, because I hated my dad for cheating on my mom.
Yeah.
I always told myself, I'm going to be a better man than my father. I'm going to be a better man than my father. And then all of a sudden I'm literally meeting up with my confidential informant and on the brink of becoming just like him.
Oh my God, isn't it crazy? So because my dad cheated on my mom so much, rather than saying like, I don't want to be like him, my reaction was more vindictive towards men. And so like, I think like men don't take women seriously, or men cheat on women all the time anyway. So like, maybe I should. Kind of like a tit for tat.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting way that I developed that. It was like a retaliation almost.
Yeah. Well, then,
not that I was like heavy cheating. I did cheat on one boyfriend before, but it's because he wouldn't get off World of Warcraft.
That's why.
No, there was a lot more than that. That's
me.
like very.
So the thing though is that eventually, right, then I find myself in this experience where I don't feel wanted in my own relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm on the brink of cheating. And all of a sudden I understand what my dad went through for 10 years. And
Gives you a different perspective.
yeah. And so there was a point where I understood that and I had compassion for him.
Yeah.
But then came in this sense of responsibility. Like at the end of the day, that was all my fault. Like yes, she could have communicated things openly that wouldn't have built up as much resentment that built the massive wall between the two of us. But that also happened with my dad where, as far as providing, and where my mom wouldn't have had to work as hard as she did.
Yeah.
So that way she could be operating from a state where she could actually feel the attraction.
Love and attraction,
Yeah. So there's, two sides to each story with it all.
There always is. But that's the thing, is where self-control is self-control. It's not like, I'm not going to try and control you. You can't control another person as much as you try. You can try and manipulate them and do your best. But at the end of the day, those are things not within your grasp. So working on self, like you held on to your integrity during that time, even though you wanted to. But because you trusted yourself enough to follow through with your integrity, and that was something that you fought for, you chose not to meet up with your CI, which is important. Like same thing with me. I would never want to sacrifice, or I would never want to have the consequence of losing you for a moment of happiness, a moment of joy, right?
Yeah.
And it's all false at the end of the day. It's something that, the way I see it too is, when I see things and temptations trying to find or sneak their way into my life, I used to be like, oh, I really got to turn away from it. But it got to the point where you have to be.
Jesus rebukes you.
Yes, but you got to be aggressive with it.
Yeah.
You got to hate that like it's a sin, because it is. You got to hate it just like Jesus hates sin. Like I think sometimes we try to treat this downplay it, treat it lightly. But if you treat it lightly, it gives that temptation permission to enter into your mind, into your soul, into your covenant. And if you're not treating it like it's disgusting, then you'll accept it easily when it comes in.
If you treat spiritual threats the way we do physical threats, then sin would have no chance in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we treat them differently.
Yeah.
And again, it's because this flesh. We take threats to our flesh way more serious than we do threats to our spirit and our soul.
Yeah.
And
because it's more instant, our flesh. Like when we feel the pain when something scuffs our arm, that's instant. For our soul, it's gradual. It gradually starts to hurt you, and you don't notice until you're all the way down in that pit, and you're like, holy crap, that first door that I opened, that's what caused me to be all the way down here.
yeah. But the reason why you have the ability to fight any temptation or any threat is because we've never gotten our relationship to the point where it was so weak or you were so weak in that place where it could overcome you. And so that is one of the biggest things, is together, equally yoked, making sure that we are spiritually equipped and truly honestly communicating and keeping the open communication all the time.
Yeah.
So that way we give ourselves the opportunity to fix things before it gets to that place.
Yeah, that's
because
important.
We can all say that we'll never do that. But if you let it get to a place where you are weak enough and your relationship is broken down enough, anybody is capable of that, because there's this deep void in our souls, in our hearts, that if it's not filled within your relationship and an opportunity presents itself outside of your relationship when you are at your weakest, then the enemy is absolutely going to come in and do its best to overcome it and win.
Yeah.
And so it's very important to be able to even have these conversations.
Yeah. I think having these conversations helps with just the intimacy of the relationship in general. Like, you might not always feel comfortable to have these conversations, but it's necessary.
Well, and the result is we actually feel more safe because of how honest we are about it all.
Yes.
Like talking about porn and lust and all these things, like so many people avoid these conversations because their own insecurities, they haven't dealt with them enough. They aren't equipped enough to navigate the conversation without their emotions taking control of their words and it turning into conflict instead of understanding, because that understanding actually brings deeper connection. So now, being 6-7 months married into our relationship, almost 4 years together, and every conversation we're having, because of how honest it is and how much we're growing, our connection is deepening and deepening and deepening.
Yeah.
And so we're getting to meet a new person every day.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Right.
And truly, when you start to focus too much on what people, like your spouses, what they've done, you're not focused on who they're becoming. You're focused on who you don't want them to be. And so that's when things start to go wrong, when you start getting this like tension in your mind. But instead, what helps me is like, I know who you are and we've learned so much about each other, and I keep my eyes focused on who you are becoming. And so I don't look at your past and I'm like, oh, well, that makes him dirty and unclean. Like,
I had to get over that myself.
Yeah. Well, but I think Jesus has a big part to play in that, because when you understand Jesus and his forgiveness and how he looks at you as a brand new creation, like if Jesus is doing that for us and he wants us to be made in his image, then we have to be able to do that too. And it's easier said than done. But that's why when I look at people's past, like I'm never judging it. I can look at things and say like, hey, that's hurting you, but never coming from a place of judgment. It's like, I understand, but we need to be made washed clean.
Yeah. But it's something that I think that a lot of people do struggle with, especially men. Like a lot of men are absolute hypocrites. And I was. Yeah. Like, I learn about the little bit of your past. And
that was like some of our arguments in the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah. And instead of looking in the mirror and immediately like, dude, you have nowhere to talk at all.
Yeah.
Instead, I just focused on what you had done and judged you, even though I had no place to do so whatsoever. And yes, no matter what, I don't have a place to do that. But I definitely don't. If we just look at like my own past, I don't have a place to judge. But it was very challenging too. And I think that for the most part, I got over that even before God called, but it solidified it so much. Yeah. When we got baptized and
the love of Jesus and how he forgives and washes us clean.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just wrap this up. If you could give some advice for men on self-control and how to manage that and why it's important, what would you tell them?
I think it starts in the little things, because if you can't have control in small things, then when there's bigger things that you need to exercise self-control, you will struggle with it. So even for me, going back to this past Sunday, I had those moments. And again, in my head, I even had this conversation where I'm like, oh, it's so.
See, these freaking bigger boob girls, man. I didn't even know he was struggling with this. I'm over here enjoying my ice cream, not even looking.
Stop.
And then I'm like, I gotta get my boobies. I'm just kidding.
Okay. All right.
I'm kidding. Okay, keep going, babe.
So with this Sunday, I found myself a few times where it was literally 1, 2, 3 seconds longer than it should have been. And the first conversation that started to have in my mind, which is absolutely the enemy, is like, oh, well, I started to compare myself to an old version of myself and to other men. Right. And so it's like, oh, well, and this wasn't my immediate reaction, but I was watching the thoughts starting to come in, and was able to like easily combat them. But I think that most men can't, and a previous version of me definitely couldn't. But it is very easy to compare yourself to an old version of yourself and be like, oh, well, I'm way better than I used to be. And then justify my actions of then looking at women because like, okay, well, at least it's not nowhere near the way it used to be. And then I can also find myself men can find themselves comparing themselves to other men. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not doing it half as bad as other men are, and try to justify my actions instead of just being real with myself of the fact that even those 2 to 3 seconds, right, and this is what God was communicating, was those 2 to 3 seconds can be captured on camera and like video. Right? And it's not about that necessarily, but it's a way to communicate the fact that it's something that has to that requires self-control. And so
it's your why, because it's probably not the same for a lot of men out there. I'm sure a lot of men don't really want to be in the spotlight or care to that's like, how would you help men who that's not their why? Yeah.
Well, so it's still the same thing, because if you start with just a few seconds, every time you allow it to go to 3 seconds, it increases the probability that it'll go to 4. And every time
you're saying catching it while it's fresh, while it's like nip it in the butt,
dealing
the
with it
you
aggressively.
Recognize it. Okay.
And so, but it's in everything. So it's on social media. One of the biggest things, because you're on your phone way more than you're probably out in public looking at beautiful women. Like I'd have to hang out in Miami Beach all day long, every day, in order to be exposed publicly to more women than I am on social media. And so your phone is probably one of the biggest places, and your laptop, but your phone specifically, being disciplined in what you allow yourself to consume and not consume. And like, I literally fight it. And I go in periodically and start to engage where like, you'd think that I was gay because of the Explorer page that I have, because it's all men with their shirts off that are ripped, that, have like, or it's fitness or God or whatever, because I'm engaging in that. And so that is part of it.
Yeah. So being active in making sure that you're not putting yourself in these situations that could cause you to spiral.
Right. And so, but it's the same thing with like a lot of the guys that I work with. If they struggle in discipline in their eating, or going to the gym every day, or even just doing the workout they said they were going to do, all of these little things that they are struggling with when it comes to self-control, when it comes to doing what they say they're going to do, that breakdown. Yeah. And so if they're weak there, they're most likely going to be weak in their ability to fight lust.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, so for me and for women out there, I would say just protecting your peace and protecting your purity and your posture. Understanding that these things, they have consequences. And women, for the most part, we mostly emotionally lust. And to me, in my opinion, that is very dangerous, a lot more dangerous than the physical, right? So
it hurts more too when somebody betrays you emotionally.
I think it could hurt both.
But I'm saying it hurts more.
Yeah, because then you really like leave your marriage for that man or whatever. Who knows? Yeah. But Another thing, and I didn't realize, I saw this in my notes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to touch on this, is the lust that women experience in presenting ourselves in a lustful way.
I
That's
was
another
hoping you
thing.
would touch on this
Yeah.
because of what you had said to me before that just blew my mind and made me want to, marry you and live my life with you so much more.
What did I say?
You said that this was when you were going through your phase of like really changing how you dress and being more modest. And you said, I don't want to dress in a way that would make a man look at me. I never want to dress in a way that would influence a man to lust over me and to sin. And
My
so
brothers in Christ.
yeah, and so to me, I had never even thought of that, let alone thought a woman would have that mindset or adopt that mindset.
Yeah.
And I was just super grateful that it was actually my wife that had that mindset because
Yeah.
I know 100% that when you dress the way that you used to,
Yeah.
right? And
That is a lack of self-control as well. And I didn't see it that way before, but now when I'm more intentional with what I choose and how I present myself, I realize that that truly is another degree of lust. Lust doesn't always just happen from the internal going outside. It happens internally in how we're presenting ourselves as well. So lusting ourselves by presenting ourselves sexually online and causing lust, that is also sin. That's also damaging to your relationship. And I know like I see a lot of women who are married and happy to still continue dressing very provocatively and doing their sexy dances. And they say, oh, it's because my man's not insecure that I can present myself.
yeah.
It's because he's also damaged and he's not protecting your innocence. And I
lack
think
self-control
on his own
self-respect.
end. Yeah. And so it's like, it becomes this dangerous game that you play of lust when you present yourself in that way as well.
I mean, even in eye contact, like
Yeah.
in a coffee shop or walking down the street.
I used to do that. Oh my God. When I was dancing before, I didn't like dancing with people because I just like to have my space. I like to be the main character, but I would draw people in with my eyes.
Yeah.
And then I'd reject them. I was like, what is wrong with me? But
Yeah.
anyways, but that was, I had problems.
Evil.
I wasn't evil. I was, goodness, babe.
I just know that look.
Well, because you're my husband now.
Yeah,
But I used to do it. I was hurt. I was damaged
Yeah.
and exposed to porn at a very young age, like all of these things. But
the thing I want to just touch on with that though is the self-control part for
Yes.
men, even because if you are out in public and a woman makes eye contact with you and she does so for even a few seconds longer than normal, it can make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, I still got it, or I'm still, like whatever. It can make you feel good and make you want it more, and so then you might look at her again when you see her at a different point at the coffee shop or the store or in public, whatever the case is, and it's almost this like dopamine hit
yeah, it is.
that you seek, and it can absolutely be a very clear symptom that there's something wrong in your relationship. And it's also an area where you can exercise self-control a lot. Like even when we walk down the street, sometimes it feels timid to me to do because I don't do it with men. Like I make eye contact with men and lock eye contact with men, but with women, even like looking for like eye contact for just a second, I look away.
I think it's a respect thing too. It's like you're protecting the intimacy that you and I have as well. Like I don't make eye contact with men.
Yeah.
Like I just don't even bother.
Sometimes I'm like, did you see that guy's whatever? And you're like, no, I didn't look at him at all. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I'm like looking at the dog or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a level of respect that I have for you and our relationship that even if I did notice the guy with the six pack, I'm just like, my mind is like goes into the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's a quick filtration process through understanding and training up the self-control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it too. In those quick temptation moments, I know you said like just nipping it in the butt. Is that like the easiest way to go about it? Is there anything deeper than that? Or is it just putting your feet in the ground or taking a stance on it and saying, hey, I'm not going to do this?
Well, I think that there's different points in the journey of lust. So I think that's in the beginning. But say you fail to do that and it starts to spiral. It's really hard to stop because there's this biological response that's pulling you further down the rabbit hole of that lust. And there has to be a point where you stop it and make an agreement with yourself to create separation from it, especially if it's porn or the soft porn
Soft corn
that is on your phone.
Yeah.
You have to do something to create separation from it for a little bit, and make an agreement with yourself that is like a legally binding contract.
Yeah.
And sometimes that requires some accountability. And
Yeah.
it can be embarrassing and it can be uncomfortable to admit it to a friend or to your partner, especially if she's not secure and can't handle that. And it's going to cause a bunch of conflict. Like you won't want to tell her, which is why most men hide it.
Yeah. But if you hide it, that feeling remains in the dark, and that allows that evil, that sin, to continue to fester and grow.
Yep.
What was I telling you? It was like, if any bit of darkness remains in my heart and doesn't be brought to the light, meaning I don't talk about it, I stay isolated, that will start to build on top of each other, the shame, the guilt, the frustration, feeling like I don't have anyone to talk to. And soon enough, you do truly begin to spiral. And so bringing it to the light is super important on how to manage those temptations.
Yeah, I think the other thing that is super important when it comes to relationships, and this is for both men and women, is the open communication, and the ability to speak on your needs and what's missing in the relationship. Because if you can't come to me and express those things, and you don't feel safe to, then you can't address them. And that, on top of the temptation already, and the things that are still in the shadows, that is going to compound and can easily lead to not just lust, but like acting on it.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of people don't have open, honest communication and can't just be honest. Like most men are like, you're asking for too much. Like I'm working, like I'm doing
already doing all these things.
And you're not just satisfied with this. Like, and instead of hearing her, and just accepting it as something that he needs to step up and do, that is, and then they get cheated on. They don't want to take responsibility for the part they played in their relationship getting to that point.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes, because there's plenty of women that are withholding sex or they don't feel like it freaking for months and months, and don't push through that, and then wonder why their man gets addicted to porn, and then eventually has another woman express desire towards him, and he breaks and cheats.
Yeah.
And so there has to be, like, that is a way of supporting each other.
Yeah.
Is by making sure that you are also communicating your needs and wants and desires, and being able to continuously keep an open dialogue to make sure that it never gets to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So to wrap this up, I think what we're trying to say is we need to stop treating lust as if it's this light thing. We're treating lust way too lightly and giving ourselves all the excuses under the sun as to why we lust. We understand that this is a natural thing that happens. It's a physical response to things that attract us immediately. But this is where the journey with God and self-control, understanding that self-control is one of the fruits of the Spirit, is important to develop and stand firm in when it comes to your morals. Because when you are just giving into every one of your fleshly pleasures, you will spiral. And we're saying that lust is one of the easiest ways to spiral. It's a quick,
and it's addictive.
And so bringing it to the light, talking about it openly and honestly, not treating it like it's lightly, like learn how to have disgust with lust. Because if you think about it, it's going to take away everything that you've worked for. It destroys marriages. It destroys your relationship with your kids. It destroys your inability to control yourself, can destroy your business. It's a cycle that can spiral downwards if you don't catch it before you start opening that first door. I know that not everybody can have these conversations openly with their spouse, and
Grateful for you and that our ability to do that.
I am grateful too. I'm very grateful, because now I feel like we can, it helps to build that intimacy. So we just want to say, if it is something that you struggle with, maybe you don't talk about it with your spouse right away, but maybe you learn how to talk about it with a close friend, another man-to-man conversation, somebody you respect and has also displays their own level of self-control, like going to a coach. Like Dylan is a men's coach, and so he helps you deal with these things about self-control and discipline. Sometimes we need that extra push. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for joining me in on this podcast. I don't know what happened in the last video. I don't know how it cut off or what happened. I was using a whole new recorder and software, so, things happen. Anyways, I wanted to wrap up that video by saying I was just grateful to have my husband on that podcast talking about true and honest things that go on in our minds, rather than trying to ignore it and pretend like it's not there. And then because we ignore it, it creeps in like a thief in the night. I'm grateful to be able to have open conversations with my spouse, and I pray that you are able to as well. Just remember that when you're talking about things like this, it does require a level of trust and groundedness and ability to reflect on yourself and have compassion for the situation, rather than looking at it and judging and pointing the finger when you yourself are not innocent. And remember, above all else, when we are talking about these things, it's not because we want to judge or shame anyone else. We want this to be a place where you can have these open conversations so that you can be inspired to also have these open conversations with your spouse. And I think by being honest and bringing these conversations to the light, we can begin to heal and develop a deeper level of intimacy with our spouses, with our loved ones. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I thought it was really great. I feel like there was some things that Dylan shared that I didn't know about, like the whole Sunday struggle. I did not know that, but I'm grateful to have heard it and understand how his brain is processing and moving through these temptations and understanding them for my own sake, so that I can show up in better support in our relationship. I hope you have a beautifully blessed day. And if you haven't already and this podcast served you, please like, subscribe, share, and help us spread the Lord's kingdom through this online ministry. And I'll see you on the next episode. Mwah. Bye.